in Grand Valley, and we are working under the mentorship of Dr. Allie Locker and Dr. Todd Ashbar. So, invasive species are any species that cause widespread negative effects on the environment. They're often exotic, and because they're not from the area, they usually don't have very many predators or diseases that attack them. This way, they can outcompete the native species. They can sometimes alter forest structure, and this can even harm us economically by messing up things like logging, hunting, and even just the aesthetics of the area.
So our objective for this study is to continue to illuminate upon these environmental factors that may reflect or affect the presence of invasive species. And as you can see to my right, this is a model that we developed during our pilot study at Bass River. And what it depicts is the observed density of autumn olive versus the predicted probability of autumn olive. And we hope to continue to develop models such as these and refine them.
So our main hypothesis is that soil properties, forest type, past treatment, presence of other invasive species, canopy cover, and the interactions between these variables can be used to predict the presence of invasive species. The items in bold are new variables we've added since our pilot study at Bass River and make up a large portion of our focus here at PCCI.
Going a little more in depth with those variables, we're looking at number one, might the presence of one invasive species facilitate the presence of another? For example, we're looking at autumn olive in particular. It's a nitrogen fixer, so we hypothesize that it can facilitate the presence of other invasive species. Number two, we're looking at soil properties such as pH, organic matter, soil nitrogen, and particle size, and wondering if there's any relationships here between those variables and the presence of other invasive species. Thirdly, we're looking at canopy cover. We're looking at invasive species and their shade intolerance threshold versus their tolerance thresholds, and hoping there's relationships there as well. Next, we're looking at forest type. Are old growth forests less susceptible to invasive
You can identify these by their oval-shaped leaves, which are placed opposite one another. Their white flowers in the spring, and their terrible tasting berries in the fall.
So going into our materials and methods, we had a pre-sampling protocol. We had to use soil samples in order to identify our areas of interest. And as well with that, we developed a stratified sampling plan using GIS, and that is a map of our sampled area up here.
Alright, so our fieldwork consisted of traveling to each of those points, counting all of our invasive species within an 11.8-foot radius, that's 1/100th of an acre. We take a photograph of the canopy, and we take a soil sample every third point.
Continuing on, we go with the lab next. Now, before we could do any soil processing, we had to both air dry and oven dry the soil samples, and then we sieved any unnecessary debris from the samples.
After that was done, we were able to measure pH. You add 10 grams of sieved soil to 10 milliliters of deionized water, stir it up, let it sit 10 minutes, then you can measure.
And finally, we took a look at the organic matter. Once again, we had to sieve the soil, but first we had to bake it, and we also had to bake the crucibles because we had to reduce the moisture, otherwise that would throw off the measurements. And we measured the soil in the crucible before and after baking. And this difference in measurement was due to the fact that the organic matter was baked off, and this loss was your organic matter percent per sample at the end of it.
Alright, so when we have all of our variables measured, we can plug them into GIS. It has a tool, an interpolation tool, that can be used to estimate gradual changes over the landscape between known points. So when we have our pH values, say, for each of these individual points up there, the program can give us this smooth map of how pH changes over the landscape.
We do have some preliminary exciting. pH seems to be noticeably higher near past agricultural fields, as you can see, versus the other forest structures that we have studied. We're hoping to see relationships between pH and the presence of invasive species, but these will be assessed through statistical significance.
Also, we've noticed that autumn olive hotspots and multiflora rose hotspots seem to overlap. Now, we can't say that this is statistically significant yet, but as we complete our statistical analysis, if it's proven true, this might be a really important predictor later on for us. Also notice that the invasive species growth seems to be lower in the old growth areas, which are located here, here, and there.
And finally, we notice that honeysuckle is not noticeably related to the other invasive species. However, we have seen some relationships with treatment type that we want to look further into with statistical analysis.
All right, so our next steps is to complete our processing, and this includes quantifying canopy cover by using those photos we took, sending in some samples to measure the nitrogen of the soil, and possibly doing a particle size analysis. When all that is done, we can finally complete our statistical analysis. The two tests we're really excited about are CART and logistic regression. CART will tell us which the most important things are that separate where these invasive species will grow. And the logistic regression will be able to take in our variables and give us a % chance of seeing an event occur. For instance, seeing autumn olive grow in a certain area. And when we finally have our model built, we will be able to display it spatially using GIS, like you saw in our map from Bass River.
So in conclusion, we have seen some possible relationships that we're really excited about. And if these hold to be significant, we are excited about these predictive models because eventually researchers and future managers can use these to not only eradicate invasive species in critical spots, but also hopefully use preventative measures, which aren't as easy to do right now because they don't know where they are. We can also utilize a model such as this with research, particularly with relationships with wildlife and possibly their communities. You could look at further treatment types and focus in on those in the presence of invasive species. And finally, you could also look further into old growth forests versus other forest types to see if there's a substantial or significant difference between the presence of invasive species there and other forest types.
We would like to thank everybody who has ever helped us, ever. You know who you are. Any questions?